Well, you know, the joy of being last is also a lot of the topics have been covered, but number one, to let everyone know, I got involved in politics, really in statewide campaigning through Proposition 187 and 209. I organized the largest political rally at my law school on Proposition 209, and I actually, I belonged to the Republican Party club at my law school, and one of my closest friends happened to be the president of the Democratic Party, so club on campus. So it is possible to have friends on the other side and work in a nonpartisan matter, and we decided to bring together our political connections at the time and really just wanted to educate the Proposition 209. We had both expected like maybe 50 to 70 people, and so we rented one of the smaller auditoriums. We ended up having over 200 people and an overflow, but most importantly, through education, about what affirmative action has meant for both women, men, and all ethnicity. When we took a really rough, you know, sampling of exit polls, we found people who went in intending to vote no on Proposition 209, switching to yes on 209. People who were on the fence also switched. And it was really through that public effort. And to let you know how I really, why I became so passionate about 209 is because I was one of those people who did well in school, but because of affirmative action, I was told, hey, too bad we don't have a space for you at Berkeley, so we'll defer you for the year. And one of my friends, a really good friend of mine, who happened to be Black, and I love him to death. We studied together all the time. His grades were lower than mine, and his SAT was definitely lower than mine, but he got a full ride and a choice of dormitory, which is really important, a choice of where to stay in the dorms to attend UCLA. He turned down Berkeley to go to UCLA. So that kind of just always stayed with me about the importance of making sure that there's equal access to everyone, and that we really not talk about, and I should really mention this, look, let's not come back, let's all acknowledge the fact there's still racism. Unfortunately, it's overt racism, but it's not permission or even right to promote what I call overt racism, which is what affirmative action really is. It's government sanctioned racism. Let's find out, just like Rosalie has said, let's find out the root cause of it. All right, gender gap pay, it's exactly what Gail had already said. I'm probably the reason for it. I chose to go into government. At the time when I graduated from law school in 1997, my friends in the private firms were making, so you know how crazy life was. If you get a private law firm job in 1997 in Los Angeles, your pay on average, the offer was $125,000 with about $40,000 to $80,000 signing bonus, depending on which industry. I went into the nonprofit world, and my starting pay was $28,000. And it is not because I wasn't, you know, top of my class or I couldn't choose anything. It was because it was my choice. Let's talk about choice. If we're really about, you know, who we are, let's talk about choice. It was my choice. I wanted to follow my passion. But most importantly, it was in the nonprofit world as well as government. That's where women can do what they always wanted to do, have kids, maybe. But most importantly, I have to tell you, both nonprofit and government, it's where our employers really do take care of us. And that's been my criticism about private industry. They don't take good care of their families. They don't allow employees to take care of their families. That's where government and nonprofit offer. And it comes at a cost on salary. But if you make that choice, that's okay, but don't complain about it. And, you know, I have a handy man or handy woman. So you can choose to be a handy woman. But most importantly, let's just remember that let's not buy into the narrative that everybody must go to college. There are a lot of great trades out there. And some trades that make a whole lot of money than what I make as an attorney. but let's give them that choice. Let's not, you know, create this false narrative that there's some kind of discrimination out there at this time, or the idea of government sanctioned racism or, you know, sexism, whatever you want to call it. And let me share something really interesting. The California Supreme Court Justice Goodwin Liu just published a law review article about the Asian Americans in professions, and they wanted to know why. There aren't many of us. But interestingly, in his study, he has found, and this is post, you know, Prop 209 world, since 2000, the number of Asian Americans, Blacks, and Latino lawyers have doubled. So to say that we are somehow, you know, affirmative action has prevented any ethnicity group from moving up is not supported by evidence. And we need to help those who want to be in any profession, help them get there. I'm a strong believer in community service. I have 2 grown kids, and I'm very proud of the fact that they have taken their time out to tutor other people. Helping others, that's what we should tell them to do. Help their friends, tutor those who have no access to pay tutors, share their knowledge, rather than these you know, government sanctioned programs that really does nothing to promote people. It's really more of what I call feel good. You know, a company that's already did well. Okay. But another thing is that, you know, what we need to recognize is that many professions are changing. One of the things that, you know, one of the reasons why I didn't go into private practice was I knew it was not family friendly. I had a lot of friends who are a few years ahead of me, who worked really hard and got into, you know, these big firms and quit because they wanted to have families, and was told that basically if you quit now, you'll never be a partner. But now in the law profession, and that's the only one I can really speak about, it's changing. We are seeing firms, especially the small and medium-sized firms, are now promoting job sharing. They're promoting reduced work time, remote work, which has become great during this pandemic. There are a couple of big firms, and excuse me for not remembering what they are. That's been, I went to a conference on women's lawyers a couple of years ago, and I couldn't find my notes on it, but there are a few firms now that actually have partnership tracks, and they said, hey, you want to have family? That's fine. You can be off the partnership track and then come back when you come back to work full-time, when you choose to. No longer this rat race that attorneys used to be in and saying, you got to make partner in 7 years or jump ship to another place or start your own place. It's no longer that. And it is that environment we should continue to foster as more men are now demanding equal paternity time. And we need to start promoting that end. So I think that is the flaw in the Proposition 16, is it's wants us to take us all the way back to the pre-1996 times, because for whatever their agenda is, somebody out there is not happy about something, and they believe it's got to be because they're, you know, green, purple, or red, and it's not because they're white and yellow or whatever, and somehow they believe in that. Lately I've been hearing about privilege. Let me just tell you, as a first-generation immigration, privilege for me is the privilege to be able to live in America when there's freedom and liberty. That's privilege.
Exactly.
Everything else is based on what you can do with the gifts that you have. And then more importantly, for all of us who have made it in life, or we believe we have, take the time out of your day and spend 5 minutes helping the person who's not there yet. Give them the hand up. That is how we can help people succeed, because no other government programs can possibly help people succeed than the people who have done it and then pave the way and show them, and sometimes drag them along with you and get them there because you believe in them. So I think a lot of this is really too many selfish people at the top, and they want to stay at the top. And they're not willing to share. And no matter what we do as elected officials, we can't do it. And I'm going to take this time to answer the question about the work at home. Remote work is a double-edged sword for women. It is extremely hard to do your work and have your kids at home too. I struggle a little bit with it, but fortunately I have two great kids. They actually cook for me and not the other way around. So I have less to complain about, but I have so many friends who are struggling. It's a very tough time, but at the same time, it's been great for women. I've heard from a friend of mine who just had her baby, and she was dreading coming back to work. So giving the option of working at home has been great. She's been able to nurse her baby, still working, pounding out 60-page brief, and she will appear in front of the Supreme Court soon, so on a death penalty case. So I think it's really, really great opportunity. There's another question about government contracts. It's already there. It's already been in federal law about, minority and women. It's been there. It's been there since 1964. We don't need to do more. It's still there. Proposition 209 didn't get take it away, and nor will Proposition 116 do anything more. Civil Rights Act. That's done deal. Get on, move on with your lives. So that's the end of my presentation, and thank you all for joining us.